Can we get going with it?
Good afternoon. This is the Commissioner, County Commissioner on Disability. We need to have a roll call to establish quorum.
Yes, Linda Baker,
Yes. Oh, I didn't.
Luke Barber,
Here.
Don Chapman,
Here.
Sarah Coyle,
Here.
Dave Forrest,
Here.
Mr. Hayes,
Here.
Linda Johnstone,
Yeah.
Josh Lewis,
He's not here.
Stephanie had to step away, thought maybe she'd come back, Brandon Morris, Sue Orton,
Here.
Cheryl Rose here. Is Mark Peoples on?
Present.
Amy Ellis? Oh, I see Amy. All right.
Okay. If Brandon didn't answer, is Brandon not in?
I don't think he's on.
And I see that Mr. Hayes is in.
Yes.
Okay, so what you have to count to see if we have a quorum?
Yep, we have none.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Dr. Page was supposed to join us. I don't see him on the,
He had a last minute scheduling conflict,
had a conflict.
last minute scheduling conflict.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move on. Maybe we could try again, inviting him. Approval of minutes, please, take a look at that. If there's any changes, please let us know.
These are November minutes.
I move we approve the minutes.
Any second?
Sue Orton will second.
Any seconds it? Okay, moving on to my report. I'm going to announce that Brandon Morris has been approved to be a commission member. So I congratulate him. And moving on, Mr. Chris Worth has applied to the taxi commission. And I would like to, it's no longer Jay Nelson, who is the gentleman now. Jay Nelson has left. And it's Harry, I think. Oh, you didn't know? I know.
It's Matt
Left
McLaughlin.
for Christmas.
Somebody said something.
Yeah, he left
This is Howard Hayes,
the city.
I'm sorry, what, Mr. Hayes?
acting for Jay in terms of boards and commissions. Is Matt McLaughlin.
I'm sorry, could you speak? Yeah, we can't hear that.
Yeah.
Can he type it? Can Mr. Hayes type it?
Linda's
Yeah, I
in,
guess
yeah.
I can put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. There's been a replacement. He's gonna put it in the chat.
Let's release it. So whoever that gentleman is, because I got an email that Mr. Nelson has left and another gentleman took his position. So we need to follow up whoever that gentleman is to make sure that Chris's application has been followed up at taxi commission.
And let's make sure we put that in our accomplishments for 2023.
23 or 22?
Well, it just happened, when did it, he hasn't been approved yet, so.
Okay. Which come, you jumped ahead of me. I want to make sure we start, get the annual report, a draft of it. And by February, we would discuss it and vote on it. And then after that, present it to the Disability Committee of Council. Some of my report overlap with some of Chair Rose, which gives you an update on the UD task force. But I've been on a Zoom call with Kara Rodriguez, who's chair of the Aging Commission, and Daniel, I forget his last name, but Daniel, I think it's Rosenthal. He's an architect that sits on the Aging Commission on the letters that was chaired from Home Builders Association opposing proposed, is not even voted on, proposed UD ordinance. And we have followed up with, meaning our commission, has followed up with a letter to Councilperson Clancy and Chair Day. That ends my report. Maybe that gentleman, I don't know who's the contact person for the county executive, but have we got a guest speaker already for February? Because we talked about in the meeting, inviting Eric.
I hadn't done it yet.
Well, check with the county executive office to see if February will work or March.
Okay. And then I can put
And
there,
the same thing with Eric.
drop either one of them in. Well,
I know Matthew McLaughlin. So
Just third replacement.
okay.
Matthew McMullin. Thank you, Howard. Didn't remember what was his name. Matthew McMullin. Okay. Yes, who's talking? I heard someone call my name. Okay.
I just said okay.
Okay, so we'll move on to the ADA coordinator report.
Okay, I have, I spoke to you all about doing the training, in cooperation with the county counselor's office. That was held in December. It was a 2-hour training. We had 31, participants in the training, and got to be very in-depth on the Title I, ADA, provisions as it applies to employment. So that was good, well attended, and got to get into a lot of detail about what our obligations are when it comes to employment. I am going to start, I'm going to do some virtual training for parks volunteers, just some very generic information on interacting with folks with disabilities and how to provide proper assistance, proper etiquette, things like that. Very generic, but I want to do that in a virtual format, so that when, not only for volunteers, but also for staff, that if we can do it virtually, they can just log on and participate in the training whenever they want. And then I'm also working on, when we got a new website, our external facing pages were all done, redesigned, but our internal intranet, I'm working on the ADA page for that and what we need included on just for existing county employees. So that's what I've been doing.
So you feel that the HR training that people walked away with some knowledge to make good decisions?
Yeah, I was very happy, there's Brendan. I was very happy to have, that long of a time. That's a long time, 2 hours, and I did the bulk of it. Along with the county counselor. So we presented the legal side, as well as more the practicality of what should be done. Went over interview questions and, what's legal and what's not legal to ask. Went through the reasonable accommodation interactive process. I also did some basic, etiquette, training in terms of people first language, proper etiquette, had a video, used a video for the Missouri Governor's Council. So I thought that was a great opportunity, for me. I rarely have that length of time with folks, so I think it turned out well. I got a lot of good feedback on it.
They are aware of Job Accommodation Network as far as a place to
I'll
call.
put that on there as a resource.
And sometimes you have to be creative in the conversations.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is that in your report?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. We're moving on to old business. I do not know, oh, that's Brandon. Is that Brandon?
Yes.
Congratulations, Brandon, that you got approved by the council.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Move on to the old business. Is Sue Orton available to either type something or yell something?
I'm here. I'm here. Can you
She's
hear me?
here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I have to relay it to the rest of the room.
Okay. They had a very busy meeting last Thursday. They made an announcement that they now have a part-time student who will be working at the commission. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to have her or him do. The grandpads situation, they did a survey and they discovered that some of the funding was not going to, not everybody qualified for the funding. So they're trying to establish a different kind of a funding stream for congregate type housing for Meals on Wheels as well. Let's see.
Hold on, Sue, can I give a room the update so far?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Can I give the room the update so far?
The what?
I'm gonna tell the rest of the room, what you've said so far.
Okay, the grandpads, they discovered that there were not everybody had qualified for it, so they're trying to find some more funding for providing that service. The Older Adult Commission, the Aging Ahead representative said they are in the process of getting their staff, their centers open, and that they have been able to create a congregate housing category so that certain Meals on Wheels could be delivered to more of a broader spectrum of people. Susan Schaefer's announced that they've lost 4 staff due to uh, just budgeting, I guess. And then they did talk about Dan's meeting with Linda and Cheryl and Carol Rodriguez. And Dan's comments basically felt that he thought the threshold of our 15% was too high. And he felt that there was more of a reasonable representation would be anywhere from 5 to 2%. He also felt that one of the stumbling blocks would be educating. And it's educating, agents, it's educating the Home Builders Association, just educating people on the advantages of universal design. The other thing that I thought that was really interesting, they talked about the property tax relief for older adults, which does affect people with disabilities. And the Missouri Budget Commission or Committee and AARP is going after increasing the circuit breaker reform. And I believe it's Senate Bill 15 and House Bill 135. So they're trying to increase the amount of money people could earn in order to qualify for circuit breaker. I think that was it.
Okay. All right. Did anybody hear any of that?
Just parts of it.
Okay.
Very faint parts of it.
Okay, so the commission has hired a part-time student That person will be working with the commission.
Aging, you mean? Aging commission?
Yes, yes. And then there was a survey, they did a survey for the grand pads.
The little iPad kind of things that you're talking about.
Correct. Not everyone qualified for that. Well, a result of the survey was that not everyone was qualified under the existing criteria. So they're going to try to find another funding source to cover those folks that weren't qualified to receive it. The county older resident program lost 4 staff. And Sue presumed that was due to budget. We transferred to a new budget starting January 1st. There was discussion on the meeting, Linda and Cheryl's meeting with Dan. And Dan felt like the 15% goal for the UD was too high. And that 2 to 5% would be a better percentage. And one of the stumbling blocks he felt was going to be on the education of real estate agents, any home builders on the advantages of UD designs.
He thinks education is a stumbling block?
Well, that would be
What she's saying is that
stumbling block.
Since
we
they
need to educate, we need to educate the people who are going to sell the house.
She said that
Uh,
it would be a stumbling.
Carol?
Hold on. Yes.
The stumbling block, when I say it in that way, it was how to develop some educational tools so that the real estate agents as well as the home builders could be able to promote it. I stressed the fact that in Cheryl's letter that, universal design is not just for people with disabilities, it's for everybody. And, and when I started talking about people who want to age in place, people who might have a family member with a disability, all of a sudden we were getting all kinds of nods. Oh, yeah. So finally, maybe their eyes were opening up that it's not just for people with disabilities.
The Dan thought that building a mechanism to educate people was going to be difficult to do. When this conversation came up, Sue was quick to remind people that UD does not just apply to people with disabilities. It applies to folks that want to age in place and other people. It has advantages way beyond folks with disabilities. And she said there were a lot of head nods in the room when she started to get to that point, just to kind of, make sure people understood that this went way beyond folks with disabilities. So there was a lot of agreement in the room when it got to be a conversation beyond just folks with disabilities.
Is Sue done?
Sue, are you done?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Okay, I want to ask, how did they get this part-time student for agent commission?
I do
And
not
this
know.
person, or is this a internship? How did
I
the
don't know.
student come to that?
She doesn't know.
Because I remember a long time ago in the Disability Commission, we had a student for a while. I can't remember how we got that student. But sometimes students are looking for internships that's not a cost to anyone, except for the student who has to give time. So I was wondering if that's something that you could use. You, meaning Carol.
Yeah. The thought of that right now seems overwhelming. It's, I have enough to do just without teaching somebody else what needs to be done.
Okay.
I'd like to know, Sue, were they generally supportive of a UD ordinance, or did they think that, I mean, were they supportive of an ordinance if it was lowered to the 2 to 5%? Or do they think a voluntary thing is the way to go? Or what did they say? What was their ultimate?
I think they were supportive of the concept of universal design. I don't think they felt that the county council would approve it because the percentage was kind of high, and that the knowledge base of the population doesn't realize how beneficial universal design is for everyone. And so maybe that's part of the educational tool that we need to get out. I don't know how you do a PR on that, but I think that's kind of where Dan was coming from. And he 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 builds multi-story and congregate type housing. So individual housing was not, his forte. But I mean, he likes universal design. He builds with universal design. But it's a matter of getting the word out to the public.
They like the bigger concept of universal design they didn't seem to think that the council was gonna pass an ordinance, especially with that 15%. And again, the more, that Sue was able to present that it was beyond just people with disabilities, and she thinks that's what's lacking, is that, for folks to understand the advantages it has to other people. And that Dan's primary business is, he likes universal design, he builds with universal design, but he's much more in the business of multifamily and congregate settings than private homes.
So my next question, I have another question. Sue, when you say they, is it mostly Dan that was talking? Did other council people besides you and Dan have any input?
Did you hear that, Sue?
Did you go away?
She's muted on.
I'm on mute now. Dan was reporting on his interpretation of the meeting between you, Linda, and Carol Rodriguez.
Dan was reporting on his interpretation of the meeting with you, Carol Rodriguez, and Linda.
And so did other council people just go along with what he said, or did they have any individual reactions?
No,
Okay.
no reactions, except that
No.
they seem to have more of an eye-opening when I mentioned the fact that it was not just for people with disabilities.
More eye-opening so that people realize it's not just for individuals with disabilities.
They're not opposed to it.
Hold on. They're not opposed to it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
It's more, if I understand it correctly, the issue is more with the percentage itself and the amount of that they'd be required to do. That seems to be the issue as it is currently. Is that correct?
According to Dan, he felt that 15% was really high and that it wasn't something that the county council would accept. He felt maybe a lower percentage would be more palatable. Does that answer your question?
Dan felt like the commission was not gonna approve something with that high percentage, and a lower percentage would probably be more palatable.
That's what I was trying to.
Okay. All right, and so are we done on this?
So are you done with your report?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
But I do have another question for Sue. While you're there, Did
I'm
the
here.
governor's council, what happened with the governor's council and the alliance? The
Um,
alliance, what do they call it?
our
Inclusive
meeting
alliance
is not,
criteria.
yeah, the meeting is not until February 13th, I believe, or 14th, I guess it is. And we're going to tweak the verbiage, but I do believe that the Alliance's proposal is going to be accepted on the Governor's Council as a standalone recommendation.
The meeting is until February 13th or 14th.
Okay.
And they're gonna tweak the verbiage and repeat that last part about what do you think is gonna be adopted?
Yes, I believe it's going to be adopted. It'll be a standalone because we currently have the 7 principles, and then we'll have this as a standalone recommendation.
So the inclusive design group is gonna have the separate standalone recommendation. And she feels like that's gonna get it accepted, in addition to the 7 features of UD design.
Okay. But it would be, okay. It's fine. I'll talk to some separate.
Just picking up features of UD. Please support. But that's the state
Say that again.
process. So but is that for public housing or private housing?
Well, if you will let me, I'll cover it under the report. I have what they are proposing.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on to UD, Shara.
Okay. Okay, so since our last meeting, the Home Builders Association sent a letter to the Committee on Disabilities, basically disagreeing with the idea of an ordinance, laying out their reasoning and supporting or offering to work on what they want is a voluntary
Education component.
education component that anybody buying a home would be offered universal design features, and they would have to sign off that they were offered it, and the builder would have to sign off that they discussed it with the buyer, and that's what they want to do. And we responded with a letter to the Committee on Disabilities and Chairperson Days, basically saying that we feel that totally voluntary program would not result in a significant increase in UD homes. It would be, sometimes there would be piecemeal, there might be one component in a home, or another home might have a different component, or nobody might elect to do it. So you could have subdivisions that had no UD homes in it. So that was our feeling. We cited the experience of the city of Bolingbrook, Illinois. But our letter did say that we think that public education, campaign is important, and we applaud it. And that since there are some areas of agreement between the home builders and us, we asked the council to the committee to convene a meeting to see if we can find a way forward that all of us can agree on. And that letter was just sent, so we haven't gotten a response yet. In the meantime, the Inclusive Design Alliance, which has been working on what they call UD ready criteria for existing homes. That is, homes that are already built, criteria that realtors and buyers can look at to see easily if a home could be easily adapted for UD criteria. And so they presented that to the governor's council, but they also included UD ready criteria for new construction. And this was some new information to me. I had never heard them discuss that. I have not attended their last few meetings, so I was unaware that they were proposing criteria for new construction. And it's somewhat compatible with us, but not totally. It does call for primary living spaces on an entry level, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. It calls for a main living bathroom with optional roll-in shower and pedestal sinks, a maximum 2-step entry. And that is because they feel that could be ramped at some later point. 36-inch wide hallways, kitchen with a 5-foot passage, option to eliminate the island. And if it's 2-story, a 42-inch wide straight staircase to allow for an optional elevator or chairlift. I have sent an email to both Gretchen and Tiffany Dill of the Alliance to see if I could talk with them about how their criteria, how they feel that interacts with our ordinance. Now, they're looking at something that would apply statewide. We're looking at something that applies to St. Louis County. But I have not gotten a response from either one of them. And they were supposed to have a meeting tonight, but that's been canceled. So I'm not sure how we, how that's, if that's adopted, how that's going to affect what we're doing. Just what, so that's where we are. Basically, we are waiting on Committee on Disabilities to get back to us to see if they're going to want to convene some kind of meeting between us and the home builders, try to discuss some possible ways that we can move forward, or if they're going to hold a hearing, or just, what they're going to do. So that's where we are.
And I believe the commission members have received a copy of those letters. So here's the time if you want to have an input on that, maybe reaction or any suggestions.
Somebody's talking. Oh, I did want to send a copy of our letter to the home builders so they knew that we were offering to, with them further, but the city councilor said that we shouldn't do that. So we didn't. It is public information though, so they can get it. DISA can release it to them. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
I have a comment, just a reminder that council chair days will be subject to change, as well as Lisa, Councilwoman Clancy is now the chairperson of the Committee on Disabilities, but that's also subject to change as of today.
Subject to, but not necessarily that it will happen.
It depends on how the votes go at tonight's
Will they do
meeting.
that tonight?
That's a requirement. It's always at the first
I'm
meeting.
sorry, then yeah, I'm off on my days. It'll be tomorrow. As of January 10th.
That's what I'm saying, the first meeting of the year.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll try to pay attention.
So what is it, the council, I'm just curious, the council votes on who will be the chairperson?
Correct. At the very first meeting of the year, all elected boards have to pick their chairs. And it's the same rules apply for the subcommittees.
So we.
Yeah, because there'll be some changes. The inauguration is tomorrow. There's some changes in council, folks.
So, District 3 has changed, and
It's, tomorrow in the morning is the inauguration. I would guess that they maybe tidy stuff up at that.
that's
meeting.
what I'm talking about, is that sometime tomorrow they should have that vote.
But it's only one council position that changed, isn't it?
It's,
Oh, I don't know.
I mean,
Tim Fitch is gone, I know.
right, and so somebody took his place.
Yeah, but then there were re-elections, like I know Lisa Clancy was re-elected.
Right.
they
So-
re-vote on those chair, vice chair,
Okay,
those
but I mean,
things
There's only one new person on the council.
correct.
She's talking about the committee.
I know, I
We're
understand.
talking about all the committee chairs and stuff, because they also, because whoever the chair and vice chair is appoints the people for the subcommittees.
Oh,
So that's what I'm trying to say.
Not they.
So, well,
So-
so if this changes, then do we need to resend that letter to the new people or?
I would.
Okay,
Yeah,
I would.
okay.
yeah, I would.
I would. I'll give that job to myself.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
first of all, Karen needs to find out who has changed, what has changed.
Yeah, it could change, but it's not necessarily going to change. It just depends on how the votes fall when they vote for chair.
Whatever the case may be, Karen will update us. So if it happens Tuesday, so by Wednesday afternoon, she should be able to tell us if there's any changes. And that also will be reflected on the website.
correct.
And, but once we know that, and depends on, I'm just thinking that if Lisa is no longer the chair of the disability committee, whoever is the chair, we need to resend that letter to that person and give them a few days to reply. And if they don't, I will.
I was thinking if it's not Lisa, I think we ought to.
Someone having IT issues.
We're having speaker issues.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. But you know, we're about done.
Okay.
So, but I wouldn't mind you resolving the issue.
Doesn't matter if you care if I just mess with it.
Have at it.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks for
I
coming.
think if it's somebody other, if it's a new person other than Lisa, that we ought to ask to meet with them and present the letter personally. I said, if there is a new chair of the Committee on Disabilities, I think that we ought to ask to meet with them personally and present the letter personally. Because they're not going to, they may not have any background on this. They may not have a copy of the HBA letter. So-
I get it, sure, you're just jumping ahead.
Okay,
I'm thinking that, just have to
Okay.
spell it.
all right,
One step at a time.
okay.
So, but so, we're almost done with our meeting. So, we have, under new business or public comment, we have a guest. You kind of went into what you want to talk about, but you said, before you speak, what is your name, by the way?
Mita Biswas, M-I-T-A. I spell your last name. Mita, Dr. Mita Biswas. B-I-S-B as in
Oh,
boy.
Dr. Lita, okay, thank you.
B-I-S-W-A-S. This was, and that's actually related to her same last name, but Shubhra, S as in Sam, U, E as in boy, H-R-A, Shubhra, R-A as in apple.
Okay, and it was MITA.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Before we get into is there any other new business that we need to discuss? Yes, Cheryl?
Yes. One thing, we still have not gotten the report from the Office of Community Development. Office of Community Development, and I think we're due the 2021 report, and maybe now soon the 2022 report. So, I don't know who is, should I send an email or?
Is that Amy's area? Amy and Mark's area? Amy, Alice and Mark?
That's Amy.
The Office of Community Development.
Are they on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Amy's here.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. So we're working on the 2022, but you said did we overlook a 2021?
They're working on the 2022, but she's asking, did they overlook the 2021?
They may have, and if we get the 2022, I think we'll be satisfied with that.
Okay, perfect. We'll get that to you before the next month, before the meeting next month.
Before the meeting. In 2022 be done before the meeting next month.
Okay. And then I have a new business thing. Since we are having,
Got one more? Okay, go ahead.
since we are having so many problems with the IT in this meeting and so many people have transportation issues, it's easier for them to do WebEx. I just propose we meet by WebEx.
Go back to the old.
Because
Well, how would that be? Is the problem this room with the WebEx?
IT, you want to share your opinion on that?
Yes, I'll be honest, I was not paying attention. What was the question?
What's the, we have, different IT issues every month
Sure.
in here.
Like this
Particular.
Every month, different issues. Do you think it's, and I, like, what would be your assessment of what the problem is?
as of right now, I'm just looking at everything. It all looks as it's supposed to be working.
But last month, we also had trouble with the,
Projection.
no, the.
Yeah, but then I found out the phone doesn't work.
One voice at a time.
I mean, there's only 4 of us here. And the rest of the people are doing it by WebEx. Just seems that the split is not working.
I mean, you guys are using WebEx right now.
Yes.
We have a hybrid situation.
Gotcha.
Some people in this room, some people at home or in their office.
Gotcha. So what was?
The question is the WebEx issue with this room or is it the question?
Probably.
The second question is this room?
Most likely, because we run these WebExes, I think we run 6, 7 a day, every single day.
Split ones.
Yeah, half and half, some are all virtual, some are, half and half. You guys, we never have issues. It's once in a blue, we have any issues with it. So,
So then the question is there another place that we can meet where we'd be more successful, or should we just go all WebEx?
What do you think the best IT room is?
it's a good question.
Conference room is?
Because,
Well, the best supported ones, the chambers.
Chambers.
Um,
How do you feel about, 8? Conference room on 8 in, Bruce, 41 South Central,
Isn't that,
where we have new employee orientation.
yeah, that was good. I actually just got that one up and running.
I know, I saw you there.
You did.
Okay, yeah.
But the problem is that then people have to pay for parking there and all.
Sure.
All right, I mean, I can do some investigation. I can, contact some, see what IT,
How do people feel about it?
if we want to move locations.
I want to find something that works because
Me too.
I'm tired of having IT issues every single month because
Yes.
I want us to figure out what's going on. We either need to figure out what's going on with technology or find some location that works or do something because
I agree.
Well, can I propose maybe that next month we do, oh, wait, let me just see what you all think of it. That we meet by WebEx next month and you report on what you found and then we can make a decision.
I think that might be a good.
No? Oh, you can't do WebEx, you can't do WebEx, that's right. Oh, I don't know.
I think
Me too.
I have very difficult problems hearing. I like to, WebEx meetings are fine if everybody is in there, if everybody isn't. If you have an open meeting, you have to do something about the audio that we have from the people who aren't here.
Speaking
But
of,
other than that,
can I get somebody?
we're talking a technical problem here, but to take.
They can hear us, but we can't hear them.
No, I don't. Can somebody who's on the WebEx, can you speak for me?
This is Howard Hayes. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You've been great.
I
Thanks.
do.
Thanks for coming out.
David, you have trouble getting on, did you have trouble?
Okay. It's too much going on. So you're saying that Howard Hayes, everyone heard him?
It's.
Hi, this is
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Right. What is the motion that you want to make, Sheriff?
Well, wait, I just wanted to ask David, I thought you couldn't get onto WebEx.
Thank you.
I can in other venues. This venue was one I could not get on. It's the way that it was protected.
Yes.
Okay, but when we were meeting totally by WebEx, could you get on then? You could.
I get on several meetings that are WebEx. I have another one tonight.
No, but I mean, when our commission was meeting totally by WebEx, would I be able to participate?
Yes, captioned and everything. I captioned
Okay.
all of that. Problem is, this is not that way, and it
Yeah.
hasn't been, and this has been.
What do you, what makes you comfortable? What would be the ideal situation for
Having
you?
a hand on him.
Okay. I move that the next, we hold our February meeting by WebEx. And Carol will investigate whether there are some other locations where we can have a split. That works.
So can I ask, what's our criteria for an in-person meeting? On a public transportation line, right? Obviously accessible.
The parking's a
Free
free
parking. That's all right. I mean, we got lots of buildings. I just want to make sure. Free parking on a bus line.
Or can we get a voucher? If, you know, instead of free parking, can we get a voucher for the parking?
Well, and anymore with Clayton, even to get you a voucher, put you in county, parking, and then you run across, you can't get anywhere without badge access. So that would be, I'll eliminate Clayton. But I'll look at other locations, and maybe we can get somewhere that has some IT support on site.
Okay. And when you are searching for your location,
Centrally located, I guess, county
you are
wise.
centrally located, what's been the most successful with the WebEx format? And the highway model?
Has this been always a problem? Has this rule been a problem all the
A few times, we've only used it a few times.
We've only used this room twice.
Yeah, because we were meeting totally by WebEx. Everybody.
When I started right at the height of the pandemic. Sort of, I was approved right as the pandemic sort of was hitting or close to it.
Yeah, we all-
Close to it.
it's all virtual.
And it was 100% virtual. We did WebEx only. Everyone logged in from their computer.
Is there an issue?
Everything worked perfectly from WebEx. And then we decided we wanted to kind of go back to the kind of old format because prior to COVID, a lot of people were doing the in-person format. So people were missing sort of that in-person interaction and in-person connection. So then we were trying to find a way that kind of would work for those that wanted in person, those that couldn't get there or things of that nature.
when you do your research, we may have to consider another time or another day, because I'm sure other county departments will use those best locations more often.
But let's just see what we come up with.
Yeah. So I just want the commission to be aware that time, location may change.
Right, and then February, is there gonna be a way David's gonna be able to attend?
I thought you were gonna go, the motion I heard was February is totally WebEx.
Right, but I didn't think David could
Can
participate
you
with it.
do a WebEx meeting? Okay.
So how,
I don't think it was seconded. I don't think we had a discussion in the normal way that it goes together. This is just trying to ram this through the last few minutes of the meeting is ridiculous.
Well, David, I'm trying to find
We're trying to find something that's
a
gonna,
solution. David, would it help? Are you in your office?
I don't have an office anymore. Our area's getting constructed. I could meet you. I can meet you somewhere. If you wanna come to Clayton, I can meet you. We'll find a space and you and I can get on. If that would work for you.
Where are you driving from?
But David, I thought that when we were doing all virtual, you were able to get on. Is that right?
Could not. Because he never was on the meetings.
Oh, you never was on.
He was never on the meeting because he had trouble.
Okay, that's not the way to work, to have an all virtual.
He has problems in getting
Okay.
to the site.
Then I withdraw my motion.
Well, and Linda too.
I withdraw my motion because if it's not gonna work for everybody, then it's not gonna work.
Did you read that, David?
I see that.
Okay. So, motion has been withdrawn. So for the month of February, do you think let's say 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, you will have some ideas that you could send to us via email, and then we can decide it, whether we're gonna eat face, hybrid model, or total WebEx by 3 weeks. So we'll make a motion. Wants to make a motion. I'm thinking, this is my thinking.
What?
In 3 weeks, we will make a decision by email where we're gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, why do we need a motion? It'll just be a different meeting place.
I know I'm
I
not,
just,
I would also prefer, coming in person, because like him, all these had issues, even if it's team, I cannot log on to WebEx like our meeting for her. There's no speaker, it's nothing working, so how long can I be just get through it? It's an issue that I do not know whether it's where we live, or whether it's spectrum, or whether it's the housing authority. There was an issue and there's no way we don't do it.
thank you for your input. For right now, there's no motion on the table, but within 3 weeks, Carol, I have an idea.
it's something that we're gonna have to figure out, is all I'm gonna say, is figure out. Is whatever we've been trying the past 2 months hasn't been working in the ways that it should. And if the technology isn't working, then we need to figure out what's going on with it.
We have a lot of leads. I can't imagine I'm not gonna be able to find a couple alternatives.
This is Stephanie.
Okay.
We want to explore other.
Stephanie's talking.
Stephanie, you saying something? Yes,
Yeah, this is Stephanie.
yes. Would you like to say something?
I was able to get on my main thing was transportation. Usually Paraquad can provide that for me, but we're down some drivers right now, so that was my reason for joining by WebEx.
Thank you, Stephanie. So it sounds like a lot of our members have transportation difficulties. So we probably need to look always to have web apps. It's just where we're gonna have it and what model we're gonna have, whether it's totally virtual or a hybrid model. So for the next 3 weeks, Karen will investigate and send us an email on her results. And then we can discuss what our February meeting is going to be. Do you we'll keep this room available until we hear different from Kara and I. Okay. Finally, Dr. Mika, you started talking about your situation with your mother of West language difficulties. And you are in contact with your state rep and your state senator, and you've been in communication with CMS. And have you been in communication with any contacts in social service?
So let me address just to correct it. With CMS long back, which is 2019 to last year, 2020, last year was 2022. So 2022, the state representative, right now, no, because it's a new issue. But the electronic visit verification is a legislature or a law. And that's something where I would like to work. As far as CMS is concerned, back in 2019, 2020 also have worked. And CMS also gave the same input that you talked to, not social services, but division of DSDS, Division of Senior and Disability Services. They have not been helpful. What they basically do is, if one has an issue, and it just doesn't pertain to my mom, it's the same issue as I said, with the church that I go to, it's the same issue. If there is an issue with the home health care providing agency, then all they say is just move on to another one. I have been given an email from the HCBS, Home and Community-Based Services administrator, Ms. Venus Wood. I kind of disagreed with her, is that when I bring in an issue about a vendor from Olive, from here, which is, this is on Creve-Coeur, and she goes, well, go change your vendor. But you need to resolve those issues with the vendor, because otherwise the vendors are becoming not only not compliant, but they are basically, if I can say the word, creating much more fraud. And it's not, I'm just not taking it lightly. I've also put it down in writing. Why fraud? Because these are the vendors. Most of the caregivers are not cognizant of the fact that how the vendors are taking the caregivers, taking the clients of the caregivers, meaning my mom, and how they are preparing the payroll. Let it be known that the state government already gives the vendors a third party to use to do payroll. So in other words, if Ms. Cheryl, so if she has a home health care agency and she can do her own accounting payroll for all the caregivers of all of her clients, then it's fine. However, though, if she is unable to do the payroll, then she can hire a third party accounting firm to do the payroll. What the vendor does is receives the Medicaid, Medicare system. And when I'm saying it in public, that means I have also put it down in writing. So what they do is, when the caregivers are coming in, logging out every day, right? The vendors choose the timing, meaning the week. So every week she has to prepare a timesheet. So some vendors start from Sunday through Saturday. Some vendors start from Monday. So in other words, if for some reason my mother does not want a vendor, or the vendor wants to kick my mother out, then based upon when she is leaving, there has to be an overlap by Division of Social Services, that she moves on without losing the benefit, the care, to another vendor. So you see, each vendor, we are in the seventh vendor. There was no need for us to come to a seventh vendor. Absolutely no need, because all they do is monitor that she gets the services properly, do my payroll, pay taxes on her behalf. Those are the three things that they do. She does most of the stuff, taking care of me and whatever she needs. So the vendor, when they come in on a particular week, so one starts Wednesday through Thursday, the other starts Monday through Saturday, Sunday. The payroll is done differently. So what they do is, you have to understand, all of our caregivers, all of people like myself, even though I'm a doctorate, I'm not ashamed that I take in less money. Where I am ashamed is that these are the vendors that they are deceiving their own caregivers, the client's caregivers. So for small reasons, they will not pay me the money properly, because you see that if I come in on a Monday and the timesheet is up until Sunday, they will pay me from a Wednesday, like let's say beginning of the month to the middle of the month, or 1 to 15 or 16 to 30th or 31st. Then some will do from 1 to 12 and then 12 to 26. This is the way they change. And this is how the Medicaid billing is wrong. So I have caught all of those things. And it is not the first one. I have spoken to all authorities except Ms. Linda Baker. I must mention I have not gone to DSS. But I do think I have reached DSS acting director past one, which is
Oh, it's acting director?
not the previous one. Right? That's Robert Nodell, but the one who is now COO, which is Jessica Tidmore. I have given communications with her, and I have communicated with all the executives, because I can see what the wrongs are. They have basically suppressed all the information. What they do is change another vendor, and the vendor has threatened me. If I can make you, you're one of the vendors from here, right here, across on. We are on this side of the north Linger, on the other, which is on Garden View, right across. See the way they threaten my mom and myself, basically myself in this case. It's very sad, but it should be known. And this is not the first. I'm trying to basically protect the vulnerable. I'm basically trying to advocate for all the disabled people. And I must mention, I have spoken to many other people, that this should not be the case where the most vulnerable, the disabled, are taken advantage of, and their caregivers. There have been instances where, let's say, my pay stub has not been given properly and her taxes have not been paid. You see, in their cases, the taxes are basically waived because of the benefits that she receives. However, it's waived, and who gets the benefit? The vendors. Who is liable? Still her FEIN number. Her employer ID number is affected. So the IRS waives it, Missouri Department of Revenue waives it. Who keeps the money? The vendors. That's not a way to do business.
Okay. I know that Carol Quad, Stephanie met Donna. Stephanie? There. Is Sarah Call on the meeting? Okay. Stephanie?
Yeah,
Sarah.
I'm here.
Now. Sarah,
Yes.
would you have a consumer director service manager or director? If you will listen to Dr. Mito with her situation, you are a vendor, Carol Clark's a vendor, right?
For consumer directed services, yes, we are.
So how do you handle that situation?
My mom just said it. Yeah, so what she is saying, I'll translate. Vendors do not speak the truth. And the reason why I'm here is the current vendor basically threw her out. The message that I have, which is of 6th of December 2022, the message says, it's a translator, I'm Dinesh calling. I'm calling from Missouri Senior and Disability Services, trying to reach Shubhra, that's she. Message says, she is wanting to close her agency as of 28th December 2022. She didn't. It's a lie. And this is not the first time. Every vendor did that same thing. They have. So what she's saying is that they don't pay the taxes, and the taxes come on because the FEI number is hers. So Department of Revenue, IRS sends all the liabilities, and they put us into, we are from county, St. Louis County. We are not from the city. I have had to go and fight on her behalf, on my behalf, to say that we should not be paying taxes for the city. It has been waived. But none of these vendors are coming. Nobody is raising a finger. And must I mention, only one vendor that really genuinely served. Jones, did anyone? What? Jones Home Healthcare. Was that clear for all? Jones Home Healthcare. Okay, let me say, that's the only vendor who genuinely, yes, they made mistakes about taxes or not my salary or with the pay, weekly pay, but the taxes, yes, he made a mistake. And a number of times. 1.5 years we were here, but he always respected my mother whenever I took him or her to them, or they came over and they paid the taxes clear cut, except for the last time, because the state government came and closed them. So I argued with the state government that you have basically closed a person who genuinely took care of my mother. And someone who genuinely cares, we are all human beings. We all make mistakes, knowingly, unknowingly. But none of the other vendors have had the decency to correct it, have had the, I would say, the honesty, or the transparency, or the accountability to correct it. It is sad. We were with one vendor almost 3 years. She's still doing that. And I feel these are the vendors who are falling through the cracks and who will definitely hurt the other caregivers and their clients, except that they don't get complained about. It's only because the first vendor of mine said that Dr. Nita Viswasi, that because you are educated, you can see. And I feel for all of those caregivers. I'm not ashamed. Again, I'm jobless. I'm helping my mother with the small money. I am ashamed of all of those businesses. If you cannot maintain the quality work like this time, the current winter, we came to her in July. She did not accept us. May, June, we talked with her over the phone. We came to July. The state government didn't do anything. She didn't do anything. After almost 3 weeks, I called the state government. She said, oh my goodness, this is emergency case. She put me on. The vendor doesn't come in until the 1st of September.
Excuse me, is this a complaint against one vendor or many vendors?
Many vendors.
Okay.
The current
Because I said we only have authority, I don't know. Authority first county government. So I'm sorry that we don't have authority, but I would suggest that you get back to your state rep and state senator and make sure CC Department of Supply, not just to the director, but to the division person that's responsible for the consumer directed service.
If I may add, current one, I would say that yes, there's only one right now, only one. And I can mention the name of the company, Abandoned Care Consumer Direct Services LLC, because she is the one who threatened basically. And I'm sorry to mention, she fell down on the 27th of December in the bathtub because of the pressure that they created. I wrote to the owner, Ms. Shanda Bonner. Have you complained? No, I meant, I purposely didn't put in a word complaint. I said, have you decided not to serve my mother, your client, Shubhra Viswas? Oh, I didn't take it back. I didn't write have you. I've written have you on behalf of Abandoned Care CBS LLC. On purpose, I wrote down the whole thing. So what she replied is, would you call me before 10:30? After that, I'm in the hospital. This is the issue with this lady. She has been manipulative. Why? In front of my mother, when she took us as client, she agreed everything. After, as soon as she goes out and into her office, she does not give her FEIN number. If my mother is a company, she is the other company, they both need to have their FEIN number exchanged to do the IRS. She agreed in front of her, then she said no. No to me. She said was,
You know, if Sarah is listening, Sarah call,
Yes.
if you can relay this information to your consumer directed manager, maybe they have a suggestion of who, Dr. Victor could talk to, but this is kind of out of our hand. And I think being a good advocate, you've been persistent, that's what pays off. And be persistent with your state rep and your state senator and the division. It's okay to get in touch with the director of social service, but you need to deal that division director who is responsible for the consumer directed service.
so it will be Heather Highlander, oh, sorry, Jennifer, meaning for Division of Senior and Disability Services.
I'm retired from the state for the last 7.5 years, so I don't know who the current people are. You can contact the Governor's Council on Disability, and they may be able to tell you who that direct person is that you can talk to. That's the key, is whoever is responsible for all these vendors, providing, because what the state does is give the dollars to the different vendors, and the vendors give you the dollars, the consumer. So you need to find out who is the manager of consumer directed service, and I think Sarah or
Yeah.
Stephanie could get that contact information.
Well, yeah, I can tell you that the director of,
Governor's Council on Disability, Claudia Wyman is the executive director. You just disability.mo.gov, look for the Governor's Council, and you will find Claudia's information there, and you can contact Claudia.
Can you repeat that website again, the mo.gov? What did you say? Or
But
disability?
I repeat, disability, I don't know if it's single or plural. It might be disability or disabilities.mo.gov.
You could just Google Missouri Government Council on Disability.
Do they have a public forum in their meetings?
I don't know.
Because that might be, if that's a public.
Yes,
meeting.
they have a public forum in their quarterly meeting. Sue Orton, I think Sue must have, I don't know if Sue's still there, but Sue's a member of the governor's gate. The council is appointed by the governor. The executive director is hired by the council. So Claudia is the current ED. I used to be 7.5 years ago. I'm retired. So I suggest that you might, and Paraquad is a vendor for the consumer directed program. And I know they have a manager, but I don't know
Yeah.
who the person's name is.
That's-
Sarah, can you tell us?
yeah, that's her name. Her name is Latoya Chauncey. It's her first name is Latoya. Her last name is spelled Chauncey. And she would be the person to talk to tell you how to take this further. And I would suggest contacting her. You could do it by email. It would be LCHAUNCEY at Paraquad, PARAQUAD.org. Or you could call our main number at 314-289-4200. and they would connect you to Latoya. But she is the most knowledgeable about CDS and how it works with the vendors and the tax EIN numbers and all of that. And I really think she'd be able to help you.
Thank you.
Perfect. So, Kara, could relay that information to you? And thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I know how the program started because I worked on it a long time ago. So, contact Latoya and, see how she can help you she represents a vendor, but she might know some names.
Yes, especially within the state government.
Names within the state government to reach out.
Right, like Sarah said, within state government. I don't know who those names are. You can start with Latoya, you can contact Claudia Bryan. She could get those names for you. There used to be a stakeholders meeting, and I used to know all the people, but they're gone, just like they retire. So anyway, thank you for bringing this to our attention. I hope you let your mother know that I don't know how much she understands me, but thank you.
Some of them, she will follow because we have she was raised in the British English, so if she definitely likes some of the news of the Fox News or of CNN and MSNBC, so I have to translate all of those. She's fully aware of what's going on in politics, all of those things, except what she wants, she's not getting it. So obviously she's speaking.
So she's aware of caption on the TV?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You mean these things? Yeah.
That's why we need people like him.
Oh, wow, she was doing.
But that's what she's doing here on my laptop. David and I, while you talk, anybody talks, we can read what's going on.
Here it is, right up here.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I did put.
All right, well, thank you very much. This has been a very productive meeting. We will hear in about 3 weeks what the situation for our February meeting is, and as a reminder, either Dr. Page can come, Eric, what's Eric's last name?
Fry.
Either one of those will be, I guess, speakers for February. Hopefully everything is working on February. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm going to join the meeting.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
IT can stop recording.